All right, so today we're going to dig into this engine and see what it'll take to get it running. I've got some new parts on the way, and I think we'll be able to make this thing run and hear it come to life and see how good it is and all that, but we're going to dig into it and see what we got. We're going to do that right after the intro.
I'd say it's a nut job.
All right, so if you go back and watch the video we did about what is this motor, we came to the conclusion that this is a 1957 283 with power pack head, steel crank. It has been bored, but we can't quite make out the numbers on top of the pistons to know what the bore is now. That's really all we know. The last video we done, we put it on scales and weighed this video. Now, at the end of these videos, I'm going to put an end screen on that has a playlist so you can see all the videos we've done on this car. But today, we're going to dig into this thing and see what it would take to get it up and running. Now, if you know in a previous video, we talked about this intake being an oddball and a pain. Well, I found a plate that I can use and put an Edelbrock, an old school Edelbrock carburetor on this thing. It will fit the bolt pattern. Unfortunately, the flange on this intake, and I'll get you in here and show you this, the flange on this intake is so oddly shaped that that's still not going to work. So we're just going to replace the intake. We're going to dig around on Marketplace or maybe even Amazon and find a cheap Chinese knockoff intake or something and stick on here and use it just to fire this thing up. I do have a new distributor on the way. So here's what I'm talking about with this. I put this squared flange on here, but I can stick my finger in on both sides the way the shape of this dips in right here. So we're just going to yank this intake off. I'm not just going to completely toss it because I know the intake's probably valuable to somebody. Not to me. I'm not a Chevy guy, but I know to somebody that intake's valuable. So I'm not going to completely just toss the intake, but we're going to pull it off here. That'll give us a chance to look at the valley and make sure everything's clean. I also have a new distributor on the way. I ordered a standalone distributor, ditched this points distributor. Should give it the best chance of firing up, right? First thing we'll do is get in here and take a few of these little acorns and things away. There's a few of them in here. Not that many, just a handful. Yeah, I mean, we'll clean the valley out. Some of this stuff's going to fall in there. We'll clean it out. There's not that much stuff around there. We'll clean all this stuff out as we go. So let's get some wrenches, pop off this distributor, the coil, and pop off this intake. Now, I'm not saying anybody will tell me a fib or anything and mislead me, but the fellow I got this off of said he'd had the intake off of this car, or off this engine, looking at everything, make sure everything was okay. Yeah, not gonna say he was fibbing to me, but I never had a distributor that was that hard to get out of a intake. It had been there for a minute, that's what I'm saying. So, again, not trying to say anybody on Marketplace would mislead you, but I do have some questions. I do have questions. That one's got a ground wire on it. What is that? Oh, I know what that is. Old road draft tube. See, guys, we're not all that much different. Early FEs had road draft tubes too. Not all that much different. I hope this thing ain't completely trashed under this intake, because I'd like to hear this engine run. For no other reason than this is the engine that's in it, you know? Right now, I kind of want to experience what the old man was putting together, you know? What his vision was. Once I get to do that, then we'll figure out what we're going to do with it from there. A couple of these I'm not going to be able to get with this. We'll have to use a wrench on a couple of these bolts. Have you guys seen the intakes they're selling for these things now on Amazon? Nah, I know, Chinese garbage, blah, blah, blah. I know that. But, man, there's intakes on there, high-rise intakes on Amazon right now for small block Chevys for $98, brand new. For something like this that you just want to know if it runs, or if you're just trying to put together a budget beater, I mean, let's be honest about it. A $98 intake, even if it is a woo-poo ching chong intake, at the end of the day, you're just trying to get your car up and running, right? Now, if you're trying to build something that really makes power, makes performance and all that stuff, for maybe a race use, might want to avoid that. But they have my curiosity piqued. If I can buy a brand new intake for $98 that's somewhat supposed to be a performance intake, it's a high-rise intake, right? I can buy something that resembles like a air gap intake for $98 on Amazon. And bolts right up on here. Even if it's got some cast and flash and stuff on it and isn't the best, I mean, saving money, right? Now I know somebody out there right now is having a meltdown and I'm even talking about it, but let's be honest. If I can invest less than $100 and hear this thing run, it's not the worst idea ever. That was stuck on there, wasn't it? Again, not saying anybody mislead me, but I don't think this intake's been off. Let's see what it looks like. Hey, that's actually really clean. That's actually really clean under there. Let me get you in here and look at it. It's clean. I bet this is a good motor. Look how clean this thing is. I mean, the valve's clean. No sludge. No nastiness in here. There's a few little specks of stuff that I dropped in here. But it's clean. Now, here's what I don't know with these 283s. This is obviously part of that road draft system stuff. If I put a modern, not a modern, but if I put a newer style intake on it with valve covers with breathers on them, can I just ditch this? That should just come out, right? It looks like it's just pressed in right there. I should be able to ditch this and put like a freeze plug or frost plug, whatever you call it, right back in here in that hole and plug this off. I'm not a Chevrolet expert. That's just kind of what it looks like to me. It also, on this block, has this hole in the front where the oil fill matched up. So now I have other concerns that I need to do a little research on Again, not a Chevy guy. Unless you're brand new to the channel, you know pretty much everything I do around here is Fords. Mostly FEs. I do a little Windsor stuff, but mostly FEs. So I have built a couple Chevy motors in the past, but they were like 350s, 400s. I got a 350 over there I built now. The block's not shaped like this. So I'm wondering now if it's okay to put a different intake on it that doesn't have the oil fill in the front, and just swap the valve covers so you can fill them all and fill them through the valve covers instead of through that hole. Or is that going to cause me issues? See, I'm not deep enough in the Chevy knowledge to know that. On the early Fords that had a tube like this, like the early FEs, it just filled into the intake valley. So I'm going to have to, as they say on the TV, phone a friend, because I don't know the answer to these questions. I do like the fact that it's clean in here, that there's nothing in there, which means that in theory, we know the motor turns over because we turned it over in a previous video. So we know the motor spins over. So that means in theory that this engine's okay. I just discovered something. We'll have to look into something. I just discovered something on this engine. We're about to have to go a little deeper in this motor, or at least look at a couple things. I just seen this. That is a broken push rod on the exhaust valve on this back cylinder over here. That push rod on that exhaust valve is broken. What that most likely means is, when we spun it over the other day, that exhaust valve was stuck closed for whatever reason. Now, I have not looked into this. That exhaust valve was stuck closed, and when that push rod came up, that pressure had to go somewhere. And these are stock, you can see them, they're stock hollow thin wall valve or push rods, and stock hollow push rods are not the strongest thing in the world anyway. So definitely going to have to replace that push rod. That's 100% given. Also, I need to check this valve and see if this valve is stuck closed. We can do that with a rubber mallet, just tank on it. And it may have been stuck, and after the motor rotated a couple times, freed it up. We'll have to see. Okay. We've had these valve covers off before, and we looked at everything, and everything looked okay. But we don't know what the underside of them looks like. Could be some moisture got into that one cylinder a little bit. Again, the motor spun over fine. You can go back and watch that video. I will, at the end of this video, I will put in a link to the playlist with all the videos for this car in it, and you can check it out for yourself. The motor spun over fine. Didn't really sound like it had a gallop to it. It sounded fine. So it would be this one right here. Yep, that valve stuck. I just able to hit it and it went down. Okay. That valve is stuck. So I'm going to pull this. I'm going to take this off anyway. I'm going to pull this rocker off and see if we can get that valve work loose. Okay, let's go ahead and pop this rocker off. This little piggy right off of there. Yeah, she's stuck. Oh yeah, she is stuck. You can see how these bounce. That one does not. Okay, I'm gonna get some penetrant and spray all down in here. I've got it pushed down a little bit, spray some penetrant down in there, and see if we can get that one valve freed up. I don't want to have to pull the head off this thing. I don't want to pull the head off of it at all. If we get to the point where I've got to pull the head off, then we're just going to put a different engine in it. We'll put a different drivetrain in it. So it's all in seeing if we can get that right there freed up. I'm going to see if I've got some PV blaster or something to spray in there and try to work that with a little bit and see what we can do. But that is a bummer. It is just the one cylinder. But that's all it takes, right? One cylinder. That's what happens when a valve sticks. It's actually broken in two places. It's broke here and it's broke here. Doesn't even look like it tried to bend. They just broke. But you can see how thin the wall is on stock push rods. They're not much to them. So, can we get that valve freed up without pulling the head off? Again, if I pull the head off, I'm putting something else in it. We know the engine spins over. That's all we know at the moment. Let me see if I can find some penetrant spray in there. All I got left is WD-40 and the straw, and it looks about like that push rod did. So let's see if we can get it in there with anything. Lube this thing up. I wonder if, since it's this valve, it'll blow it out the exhaust, right? See what we can do with that. It's right in the way of this master cylinder too, so it's hard to get up. Yeah, that's going to be difficult. Difficult indeed. Okay, let me show you what I'm dealing with. This is what an exhaust valve should look like. Where's the camera at? Right there. This is what an exhaust valve should look like. Right there. See that? Got a little carbon on the valve, but the exhaust valve looks okay. And let's go to the one that's stuck. Get the camera in here. I'm not holding this high enough. This is what we're looking at in there. There's the valve side. And that valve is stuck shut. And that whole exhaust port looks... I'm sorry, intake. I've been saying exhaust the whole time. I'm sorry, I had a brain fart here. That intake port Looks absolutely disgusting. So, I was saying exhaust port the whole time. I don't know, my brain and my mouth wasn't moving at the same speed, I guess. Intake port. So at some point in time, this thing has gotten moisture down the intake. I'm going to look at all the rest of them real quick since I'm sitting here. But that has froze that valve. The one straight across from it looks great. That one looks great. 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 Perfect. Perfect. The one beside it looks perfect. It's literally that one valve, and it's got crud absolutely built up on that. The wet you see in there right now is the WD-40 that I just sprayed in there. I'm sure that's what that is. I don't know that valve's going to move. I'm going to spray it full and let it soak. I'm just going to try to fill that up a little bit and let it soak. Maybe it'll come free. I don't know. What I do know is that might be the end of this motor, because I don't want to pull the heads off this motor. If I got to pull the heads off of a motor and work on it in that capacity, then why are we keeping a 283 in it? You follow what I'm saying? I mean, I would assume just put a Ford motor in at this point. But even if I left the Chevy motor in it to match the rest of the drivetrain, why would I leave a 283 in it? This is not the answer I was hoping to get from you. I'm sure the sellers that I bought it from was correct that this engine did run. I got a bird in here. This engine did run. Water probably got in there after they heard it run, or after they ran it while it was sitting. Even at that, I mean, we know an engine will run on 7 cylinders. We're not going to do that, but we know it will. All the bores look good. So I guess it's a good, fortunate thing that valve was closed and it stuck closed. That keeps everything out of the cylinder, right? So what are our options now? What options do we have? So the way I see it, I have 3 or 4 options right now. Option 1, we'll let this valve soak for a little while, which is what we're going to do. We're going to let this valve soak for a little while and see if it frees up. That's option 1. Hoping the valve frees up, we put a push rod in there, put it back together, and we fire this engine up, because I think it will run. Option 2. Pull the heads off and go through the heads. I don't think that's a good option, because I know at some point in time these power pack heads on these 283s were supposed to be the big deal, but now we have better technology, and these are not even in the realm of the best heads you can get, even stock heads anymore. We could put aluminum heads on it, but who has the budget for that? So that's out of the question. So it really boils it down to just 3 options. Hope that comes loose and we can run this engine. A. Option B, we find another Chevy motor and stick in it, because everything's already configured to Chevy, the transmission and everything. For option C, we just pull this whole drivetrain out and put a Ford motor in it. Unfortunately, the only Ford motor I have right now that I could put in this thing is that FE that's sitting right behind it right there. Right behind the camera. I don't think, first off, I don't think an FE would physically fit in here. And even if it did, the car's already a little nose heavy, you know what I'm saying? So it needs, if it goes forward, it needs a Windsor motor, something like an Explorer motor, so I can get a roller block and all. I already have the GT heads. I can put a little cam in it, an intake on it, and make reasonable power for this car. That would be the Ford option. That is not the answer we wanted today. I wanted to hear this engine run. She's a, what is it now, 80-year-old car? End of the day, this is a 77-year-old car that I was hoping to have running in this video. I just wanted to do a quick video, just hear this thing go wow, wow, and I was perfectly content to let it sit for a little while. But if we want to get this thing up and going for an upcoming event, we have to figure something out for this. Hopefully, it's as simple as this valve will just soak and unstick. I am not, however, confident looking inside that intake port. So with that being said, we are not going to hear this engine run today. I'm going to let that valve soak for a couple of days, and if need be, we will put a different engine in this thing. If we can find one. The budget's the problem. That sucks. The budget's the problem. So I think at this point in time, we're going to try to find a different engine to put in it. If I could find a run-of-the-mill, say 350, 400, something like that, fairly cheap, because again, the budget's the problem, I would put that back in here because it's already set up for a Chevrolet motor. If not, I may try to find an Explorer 302 because they're roller motors and have the GT40 heads, and they can be made to run pretty decent. But if I find an Explorer motor, I gotta find me a transmission, and 4-speeds are not cheap anymore. Even if I found an old T10 4-speed or something, just something to make this thing move around, to go behind it. And I'm not sure if my drive shaft works anymore. You know what I'm saying? It piles up if I put a Ford motor in it. We could put heads on this, but if we put heads on this, what if there's something wrong with the rest of it? Too many options. How about this? How about this? You guys tippy tap on the old keyboard right there and tell me what you would do. Would you try to repair this head and get it running, open up that can of worms, since the entire drivetrain is already set up Chevrolet? Now, it has a Ford 9-inch under the back. When I say drivetrain, I mean motor, transmission, the mounts, the drive shaft, all that is already set up for the Chevy motor. would you just find another Chevy motor and put in it, even though that's not exactly how I would do it? Or do we try to find a deal on like an Explorer 302 that's a roller block and go back with Ford motor? But if I do that, I got to find a transmission, and I don't know about a drive shaft. We may be able to just change the yoke and everything may be the same length. I don't know. It may be way off. I don't know. But if we go 302 and 4-speed, we got to find the budget to go 302 4-speed. As much as I'm not a Chevy guy, Chevy stuff is easy to come by, and you can find deals on Marketplace on stuff. That's it. Anybody want a 283? Jeez, I don't know. Now check this out. Sometimes the good Lord's looking out for you. It's freed up now. The valve is going up and down like it's supposed to now. I guess the old magic WD-40 done its trick. Well, that and the good Lord looking out for dummies. You know what I'm saying? So now that that's freed up, I guess I can get a push rod. I'm going to see if anybody locally has a push rod. And if somebody does, then we can stick a push rod in and tighten it back down, and we're right back on track. If they don't, might be a part 2 to this because I'd have to wait on parts. Let's see if I can get a push rod. I'm actually optimistic right now. Well, to no big surprise, no push rods in stock, right? Now, here's the crazy thing. The local parts store says, oh, it says I have 10 in stock. But when they look for them, there were no push rods in stock. So I ordered a push rod. Should be in tomorrow. I got to come up with a game plan. At this point in time, I'm trying to figure out if I should just pull this little 283 and put something different in it. But I don't really have anything different to put in it. I don't know. This video has kind of been full of fail. But I don't hide anything from you guys. This is just real life. It's the way it works. We'll get the little car running. It just ain't going to happen in this video. Sorry. Sorry, guys. It just ain't going to happen in this video. So, I got to come up with a game plan. I'm going to spend the weekend thinking about said game plan and what I can do. I will get back to work on this Jeep. In the meantime, yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do yet. I think I'm going to go buy some scratch-off tickets to try to pay for all this. I don't know. God bless you guys. I hope the Lord bless you more today than he did yesterday. To him be the glory. Guys, we'll see you on the next one. In the meantime, if you got any suggestions, put them in the comments. We'll see you on the next one.
I'd say it's a nut job.